Oh, hi, how you doing? Good. You are very nice. I did a gig 2 weeks ago, and then as soon as I walked on stage and approached the microphone, someone in the front row of the audience went, "You got away for one joke. That's illegal. You're not allowed to do that. I did not get into comedy to be hated for my appearance. I got into comedy to be hated for my personality. There's so much there. Come on, focus on that, please. I do political comedy. I got into politics because of my first girlfriend. We dated at university, and then she moved back to America and broke up with me over Skype. Always good to be broken up with over an online video conferencing service. I think it's my favorite way these days. The worst part of that was actually afterwards when I was kind of rocking back and forth in the fetal position, and then Skype popped up with a message saying, to help improve the quality of our service, could you please rate that conversation out of 5? So touche, Skype. That breakup was about a year ago, and I haven't had much sex since then. Which is sometimes described as kind of like a dry patch, which I think is a really horrible phrase. I'm trying to find be a bit more positive about it. Like I wasn't on a dry patch, but I was on like a kind of fallow year. Like I was having so much sex in the years before I need to take a year off sex to sort of rotate my crops, put some legumes in, because once the topsoil's gone, it's gone. Am I right, guys? Any phosphates and nitrates lads in the back of the room relating to the arable stuff? Come on, very laddie comedian, obvi. I do have one genuinely laddie friend, though, who was boasting about having sex with 2 different women in the same night, which I can't really relate to, slightly misogynistic, and also I've never had sex with 2 different women in the same financial quarter. That's not... just an accountancy joke, isn't it? What a fun world we live in. Okay. A friend tried to make me feel better about that breakup. They were like, you're lonely now in your life, but they were like, it's fine, you're going to have a good marriage. I'm like, it's completely unhelpful. You've not helped me in any way there. But I think they're right. I think I have a good marriage. I think I have like an amazing marriage. Not amazing like what an amazing sunset. Amazing maybe like a table that you've had for a while. And then you take that table into an antiques dealer and they sort of look inside the table and it's riddled with woodworm. And they're like, oh my God, this should have collapsed years ago. What an amazing... Like, it's not a good marriage, but it's structurally impressive that it survived given the internal issues below the surface and it's held together with little sinews of children and fear of loneliness. Come on, what a great marriage. I first met that ex when I was traveling around America with a friend of mine who was working as a volunteer on the 2012 Obama re-election campaign, trying to persuade people to vote for Obama. And one person that he called up said that they wouldn't vote for Obama because Obama's a socialist. My friend was like, well, he's not a socialist, he's quite right-wing by European standards, but like, what's wrong with socialism? And the caller was like, well, socialism is evil because socialism leads to fascism, which leads to communism. Which is a sort of swing and a miss there. That's sort of like an overprotective father saying their 19-year-old daughter shouldn't hold hands because holding hands leads to blowjobs, which leads to kissing. It's like they've applied a logical process, which sort of re-examine the order of the process. I reckon re-examine the order of that. A lot of Americans call themselves like social liberals but economic conservatives, which if you don't know what that is a conservative who doesn't have the courage to call themselves a conservative, right? If you're an economic conservative, you are a conservative, right? You can't be like, oh, we all go around my house in the evenings to discuss privatizing the NHS, but we smoke a doobie while we do it. It's just a weed-smoking Tory, which is fine, but, just live your truth, I think, Like, if it were true, you could flip it, but I don't know anyone that goes like, oh, I'm economically left-wing, but I am socially conservative, right? I think we should renationalize the trains, but no gay people on the trains once that happens, yeah? Publicly owned heterosexual railway network, choo-choo, that's what they all say come election time when they want our vote. So politically, I'm left-wing. Why am I left-wing? Bullied at private school. That's sort of the vibe here. If anyone needs a spoiler alert on that. And that's all British politics, isn't it? It's privately educated boys destroying the country, right? David Cameron started it. Boris Johnson's going to finish it. Boris Johnson, a man who spent most of last summer screaming at Muslim women for wearing the burqa. That was his little summer Hobby, some people go fishing. He called burqa wearing women letterboxes, and now he's prime minister because nothing matters. Yeah. There are no consequences. That's fun, isn't it? It's fun that there are no consequences ever. To be fair to Boris and his burqa comments, Rowan Atkinson defended him. Always good to get Mr. Bean's opinion about inter-community relations. What does old Bean think about how she treats some of the most marginalised women in our society? Rowan Atkinson's defence was a kind of free speech one. So, it's like free speech is a free country. You can say that. And I was saying, yeah, you can say that. Just like, don't. Just like choose not to say the incredibly horrible thing, right? That's always a possibility open to us as human beings. Also, if you say something, defend yourself with free speech, all you're saying is you can't be imprisoned for what you've said, which is a very low bar for defending yourself, right? You should have something good rather than just legal, right? That should be the hope when we do things. It's like going like, chef, how's the food looking today? And they're like, mwah, pass health and safety. Just like, I want it tasty, yeah? How are your children doing? Alive. Like, it's not... It's good, but you want more than the base legal minimum, right? So Boris has put Priti Patel in as Home Secretary, someone who wanted to bring back the death penalty. And when she was criticised for that, she defended herself by saying, that's unfair. I said that a long time ago, back in 2011. We all remember ye olde 2011, right? Back in the mists of time, just the iPhone 3 and hanging people, wasn't it? That's what we would do, right? The state would execute people in cold blood, and then the OS upgraded, and the 2012 Olympics happened. Yeah, that's good. So that's actually an old joke from 2016 when she was last in the cabinet. My logic is if she can be put back in the cabinet, I can reuse that joke, given that she got fired from the cabinet in 2017 for doing what can only be described as a light spot of treason. My therapist thinks I'm a bit of a perfectionist, but I've got this really weird thing about cabinet secretaries where I think they should have done 0% treason, but she's not done a full treason, but she's sort of in this liminal space between no treason and full treason, and now she's Home Secretary because nothing matters. Yeah, we know the song, no consequences. So what? So Boris became leader because of the Tory leadership contest. What was that? That was 11 ghouls, and 9 of those ghouls admitted to doing hard drugs in their youth. And Boris said that he took cocaine, but that he sneezed when he did, as if that makes it any better. That doesn't make it better. That makes it worse, right? That's worse. Well, by saying that, he's not said, I didn't do drugs. He said, I couldn't do drugs, right? I did try, but I'm both immoral and incapable simultaneously in one human being, right? What's worse than a murderer? An attempted murderer, right? That's who Boris Johnson is. Boris Johnson's a man strangling a child, but both of the hands are going the same direction. That's the windpipe is fundamentally unimpaired, right? That's who... Boris Johnson is a man taking a gun out of his bag, pointing at you, pulling the trigger, and then looking genuinely devastated when a small flag with the word bang on it comes out because he fucked up the packing that day. He's a cunt. Right, so, that's what he is. So he's Prime Minister because Theresa May resigned. When she resigned, she cried, which was covered in quite a sexist way by a lot of newspapers. I wouldn't cry just simply because I would be delighted to stop being Prime Minister, right? It's like a dog shit job. And not just now. I think being a Prime Minister has been a dog shit job for a while. It's rubbish being a leader. I think being a leader is rubbish. Like, it used to be good. Like, being a king... I think being a king was good, but being a prime minister sucks, right? Like, I just think a lot of the fun of being a leader has kind of been ruined by human rights. Right, obviously they're great, but it'd be really annoying if you were the leader that they introduced human rights in on your watch, right? It'd be like a school getting rid of bullying when you're in 6th form. It's like, was my time to shine now? Why are you doing this now? Do it earlier or later, not when it's my crack at this. You've not fully gone for that. Okay, that's right. I just think like a good example of that's music, right? Like 500 years ago, if you were king and you wanted to hear a piece of music, you'd have to like clap your hands and someone has to physically enter that room, play that instrument, knowing if they make a wrong note, that's a potentially executable offense, right? Bit of fun, bit of narrative tension to the music. Whereas now, if you're a prime minister and you just say that you like a band, 90% chance that band goes on Twitter and calls you a cunt, right? Just like, you used to be able to murder musicians and now you're not allowed to like them, right? David Cameron had that with the Smiths, right? He went on Desert Island Discs and was like, oh, I love the Smiths. And then the guitarist, Johnny Marr, was like, no! You're not allowed to like the Smiths, it's not for you. And I felt weirdly sorry for David Cameron, right? Because he was never going to be left-wing enough for Johnny Marr and hate immigrants enough for Morrissey, right? How was he going to achieve both of those things simultaneously for the 12 Smiths fans in. Fantastic. He's a fascist now. That's the joke there. Good. Okay. Morrissey's a big old fascist now, but his music's good. But is it good enough to justify his fascism? Unclear. This isn't in the script. Let's get back to the script. So Boris is going to try and take us out without a deal. I don't think that's good. I vote Remain. I do think we need to do Brexit in some form, but no deal Brexit is the most kind of extreme, chaotic, right-wing version of something which only has a 52% mandate. I don't think that's enough for the most extreme version of something, right? If it'd been 52% Remain, that would not have been enough the next day for David Cameron to swan out of Downing Street and be like, Bonjour, je suis enchanté que Remain a gagné le référendum. Maintenant, il faut pas seulement en français, toujours au Royaume-Uni. Finalement, bienvenue au nouveau chance d'échec, Eric Cantona. Like, that wouldn't have been a representation of a sort of 52-48 split to go full French. I'd be fine with that, though. Love France. Although one thing that's weird is when you're learning French, one of the most important phrases is "Où est la bibliothèque?" It's like, I've been to France a couple of times. I've never needed to ask for directions to the Bible disco, right? It's not... No? Silly little multilingual pun joke for the gang? Right. Just kicking the walls. I'm not a very confident person. I'm like, if you're in a like big messenger group chat with your friends, you know, if someone like starts like shitting on someone who's not in the group, I'm the person who pops up being like, well, Gemma's not here to defend herself, right? The least like the worst person in the chat, right? My life motto is basically like dance like nobody's watching, but WhatsApp like anything can be screenshotted, right? Just like anything. That's my entire life, right? Anytime I have a thought, like the Microsoft paperclip pops up in my brain going like, it seems like you're trying to feel an emotion. Have you thought about repressing that to the core of your being in a way that might ruin you the next sort of 28 to 29 years of your life? Have you considered doing that? Not confident. I went to the theatre about a month ago and there was a standing ovation. And anytime that happens, I think, who started it? Who has the confidence? That's the most confident human being that's ever existed to be like, yeah, I'm going to be the one that arbitrates what's critically good tonight, right? Because as soon as one person gets up, everyone joins. But the first person's like, yeah, my opinion is more valid than these 400 people here, right? They're the most confident. Well, they're not the most confident. They're the second most confident person in the world, right? The most confident person in the world is the person that stays resolutely seated while everyone else gets up in a standing ovation. Like, they're the equal most confident. They've got very different energies about them, right? And I think there's only sort of two kind of justified reactions to a standing ovation from a normal audience member, which are... Good stuff. It's very political, that bit. Right. Yeah, I'm not very. I'm so low confidence that I ended up moving out of a flat share because I'd had such a like massive collapse in relations with a friend there that I just was like, oh, I'm off to another. I'm gonna move flat rather than try and resolve this tension with this other human being. And I live with my brother now, which is good, just because you can say or do things to each other that if you did to anyone else would be illegal. But because you're siblings, within 20 minutes, the relationship completely resets, and it's as if like nothing happened, right? So I'll come back from work and then open up a packet of Jaffa cakes, which had 9 cakes in this morning, only to find now left 1 half-eaten Jaffa cake. And I'll be like, what the fuck, you fucking piece of shit? You're not supposed... We literally had a house meeting about this. We had a house meeting about this. If you eat someone else, you can eat someone else's food. You fucking replace it before they get back so they don't... What if I come in, it's too late? Fuck. And you earn more money than me. You're younger than me, and you earn substantially more money than me in a way that our parents never hesitate to remind us about. You fucking... I'm going to fucking shred your skin. I'm not going to wear it as shit skin. I'm going to shred it and leave it on the floor, you fucking cunt. And then I think, imagine if I said that to a normal flatmate, right? Just... Imagine if I just chipped in with that to a normal flatmate. We live in a 3. I've got my friend Yanis who lives there, and one time I basically screamed all of that to my brother, and then he popped up being like, actually, I'm really sorry, that was me. I was quite hungry. I was going to get you some more, but the shops are closed. I'm going to get you some more tomorrow morning. I'm so sorry. And then I had to be like, it is an honor that you... to feed the king, to the Duke. I'm actually allergic to chocolate, so it's actually a real delight that you've taken that out of the possible sort of allergy system. Right. Okay, fine. So I think let's jarringly go back. Okay. So. And in terms of confidence, so some comedians, I think the only time I've been like pleased with my own stage performance in my entire life was in GCSE drama when I was asked to do an encore. They called it a retake, but I think it still sort of counts, doesn't it? Some comedians have like impressions. I don't really have any I got one impression, which is an impression of my dad. Any my dad fans in? Tonight? No? Okay. Well, it's an impression of my dad flirting with Katy Perry. So, is there a Lord Gaga? He doesn't know who they are. He's horny but confused. That's sort of his vibe. He knows he's making someone uncomfortable, but he's not quite sure who he's making feel uncomfortable. That's sort of his vibe there. Different politically with my parents. I'm sort of to the left of my parents. Basically my relationship with capitalism is a lot like my relationship with death, in that I am not a fan, but I think it's sort of inevitable, and my parents are a lot closer to it than I am. That's sort of... Okay, good. One round of applause from one person enjoying the death capitalism. I think it's a tough time to be leaving the European Union right now, just because I think that all the big problems of the next 50 years are these kind of massive international challenges that one nation on its own can't solve, and like climate change, right? And at this point, even billionaires have more power to solve climate change, like people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. But their main thing they're doing with climate change is sending rockets into space. That's their strategy, right? Elon Musk is it's fine, we'll all go and live on Mars. And I always think, well, the problem with that is that Mars looks shit. Just looks absolute dog shit, right? I've been to a lot of shit places on Earth, but I've never been I'd rather be on Mars now, right? I've been to Luton Airport, and I wasn't take me to the red planet, right? Wasn't my reaction to that. Also, if you you can either die on Earth as a result of climate change or go and live in space with Elon Musk, I'd be kill me. Just do murder me right now, because I would rather die. It'd be horrible. It'd be like a mad space dictatorship. You wouldn't ever be able to when you got Elon, when you got a boss at work who makes a shit joke, but you have to be like it'd be like that forever with Elon Musk, right? You could never tell him anything he did. He'd show you his R.I.P. Harambe SoundCloud rap that he genuinely made earlier this year to commemorate the dead gorilla and internet meme sensation Harambe. And if you didn't immediately laugh, he'd kick you out of the airlock and call you a paedophile, right? That's how Elon Musk operates as a human. I think a lot of these billionaires have had their brains broken over climate change as a result of the film Interstellar, right? Interstellar's a film about climate change, right? All the crops on Earth are dead. Corn's the last one left, but that's about to go, and humanity looks doomed. Then the Earth is saved because a wormhole opens up in the solar system, and then NASA sends its last spaceship through that wormhole into another galaxy to try and populate other planets. But then that spaceship gets sucked over the event horizon of a black hole to its certain doom. But then luckily over the event horizon of a black hole, there's kind of useful quantum data that you can help use to solve a gravity equation that could lead to humanity's salvation. Of course, you can't send information back over the event horizon of a black hole. That's kind of the catch-22 nature of a black hole. But then luckily, interdimensional beings beyond our conception open up a tesseract inside the black hole, and then Matthew McConaughey's character starts falling through that tesseract, traveling through a kind of octagonal kaleidoscopic representation of his own timeline. You can't travel in time, but you can send kind of gravity-based information through the time stream to help alter the dust in your child's bedroom, giving them coded information in the future, and then encoding all the quantum data on a wristwatch they'll keep on them at all times until in 30 years they grow up to be the most important astrophysicists of their entire generation and use the quantum data to help solve the gravity equation and lift human beings off Earth seamlessly. And I just think a better film would have been one about recycling, right? That would have been a better decision. Thanks so much. You've been so nice. Cheers. Have a good rest of your night.